every word and every act. His assurance and His love. Why fear when I am here? He said. For every devotee, He was here, there, and everywhere. Painfully guiding every step like a dance teacher. As the bud blossomed to reveal 1,000 petals, it can only be said that the fragrance of the first few years was unique.
I remember one of my lecturers sharing this unbelievable incident. This lecturer of ours had been to the holy city of Kashi, also called Varanasi. He goes there because his in-laws live there. So whenever he goes there, he tries to meet some holy people, just offer his pranams to them. So he was led to one particular temple. They said there is a holy man living there. He's very old and he's a worshipper of Devi, of Kali, the form Kali. So he goes to that ashram and there's a huge statue of Kali. It's almost 7 to 8 feet tall. Very imposing and awe-inspiring statue. She's standing there with many hands and really scary looking statue. And as a young man, he sat in front of that statue and did meditation for years and years and years together. And that's how he got his realization. So this lecturer of ours went to him and he offered his pranams. And this sadhu asked him, "Where are you coming from?" So he says, "I come from Puttaparthi." And this sadhu's face lit up with joy. He said, "You come from Sai Baba." And he had this truly fascinating story to narrate. He said when he was doing his sadhana, he used to sit in front of that statue and for hours and hours together he used to do meditation. And after many years, he got really frustrated. He said, "I'm getting nowhere. Mother, I'm not getting your darshan. I'm not going anywhere spiritually higher." So he decided to end his life. And how did he decide to end his life? He said, "I'm going to bang my head against the statue and I'm going to kill myself." So he rushes towards the statue, catches hold of the statue and starts banging his head. And probably after a few bangs, he finds somebody holding his head, stopping him from banging. And he's surprised. He looks up and whom does he see standing there? He sees our Swami standing there. Imagine, he has not seen this form before. That Kali statue which was there was replaced by this so enchanting looking form. He has no clue who this is. And when did this happen? This happened in the early 1940s. When people in Kalluru, Illuru, Pamidi were wondering who is this young boy. Swami is in Varanasi in Kashi giving darshan. I spoke about Jumsai. There were so many people in the United Kingdom, in London, in Europe during the World War II who were saved by Swami, who many years later came to Swami. So that is why, how do you draw a timeline? How do you give a chronology for what Swami has achieved? But nevertheless, that's precisely what you're trying to do. So that's how the bhajans started there. And around this time, as we said, there are mysterious ways in which people started coming to Swami. And there was another person, his name is Ramachandran. He was a recruiting officer from the town of Hindupur. We all know Hindupur is quite nearby. He had some problem. We don't know what is the problem. But one day, Swami appears in his dream and gives him a solution to the problem. So Swami solves the problem and tells him, "Come to Puttaparthi." So this man wakes up and he has no clue. What is this? The solution seems logical, but what is this Puttaparthi? Where is this? Who is this person? And why is he calling me to this place called Puttaparthi? He goes back to sleep. Swami again comes in his dream at 4 in the morning and says, "Come to Puttaparthi." So he wakes up and early in the morning he gets into his jeep and starts driving. And what does he do? He lands up in a Puttaparthi near Bagepalli and he asks, "Where is Sai Baba?" And they say, "Who is he?" There's nobody by that name. Then luckily somebody tells him that there is another Puttaparthi near Bukkapatnam. Why don't you go and try there? So he drives, he gets into his jeep and starts driving. And here, Swami is sitting in Subhamma's house. Swami says, early in the morning, he says, this afternoon, a recruiting officer is going to come from Hindupur. So they say, okay, Swami is saying something. Sometime in the noon time, around 12 o'clock, Swami says he has come. He is near Karnat Nagipalli. He's just coming. And promptly 10 minutes later, this man drives in with his jeep. In 1944, for the first time, the villagers of Puttaparthi are seeing a motorized vehicle. They were never seen a vehicle like that. They're so fascinated by this. This man comes in the jeep and comes running and falls at Swami's feet. Because he recognizes it's the same person who came in his dream and solved his problem. And then this person takes Swami in the jeep and Swami goes around Puttaparthi in the jeep. Probably the first, we've seen the car darshan so many times later. Swami would get into a car and go around. We would all run and stand on the wayside. This is probably the first car darshan. Swami got into that jeep, drove around those few lanes which are motorable in Puttaparthi. And he says that luckily he did not have to spend much of his petrol because people were so fascinated they started pushing the vehicle.
Because they had been used only to, chariots or other things that are pulled.
And what do you say? Is this a play of fate or what it is? Even after seeing all this, some of the local people did not want to regard Swami with that respect which was due to him. This is his driver. There's a special mention about him in the accounts where there's mention about Ramachandran. His name is Prahalad Rao, a very, very lazy man. But the mention of Puttaparthi would make him very active and he would be ready to drive to Puttaparthi anytime.
So, this recruiting officer Ramchandran, in the jeep, he takes Swami to Hindupur, and again in Hindupur, people are very upset. They don't know who this Swami is and they don't want this. They in fact scold Ramchandran saying, how can you get such a person? How can you do all this? But his conviction is so strong that he takes him out in a procession in Hindupur. And that time an interesting thing happens. This is T. Rama Sharma. He was Swami's classmate in Bukkapatnam school. See, this is 1944. Just 3-4 years back, Swami is there in Bukkapatnam school. And now Swami is coming here and he happens to hear that a classmate of his is being paraded. He's God and all that. He's surprised. Oh my God, let me go and see. So he goes and sees Swami in the jeep. He says, Arre! Hey! He calls out to him. Because for him he's his classmate. And those followers and devotees of Swami are shocked. Who is this person with such audacity? He's addressing like this. And immediately Rama Sharma realizes what he has done. And he says he's saved by Swami himself. Because Swami says, no, that's not a problem. Yeah, I know him. He calls him. And to the thrill of this Rama Sharma, Swami starts asking, how is that boy? What is he doing? He inquires into their careers. How are their families? What are they doing? He's so thrilled. Because on one hand, he's seeing Swami asking him all these questions, personal questions, private questions, and very intimate questions, and behaving like just his old friend. Haven't we seen this with Swami? Before we get a chance to interact with him, we wonder what to speak. We prepare for 5 days. And when we go in his presence, we are just not able to speak. We are dumbstruck. And Swami so sweetly cracks some joke. That is pure love. It's like a child. And so, on one hand, Swami is doing that, and on the other hand, he sees Swami being worshipped like this. This is a picture taken of a Pada Puja, not done at Hindupur, but a Pada Puja was done there, and probably this is how it would have looked. The person who is intimately talking, he's being worshipped. That is the beauty of Swami, where once in a while he removes the Maya and fills us with awe. But thankfully, he brings back the Maya so that we can relate to him as a mother, as a guru, as a friend, as whatever. And we are able to have an interaction and relationship with him. So we should be grateful to Swami for when he removes the Maya. We should also be grateful to him for putting the Maya, because that Maya is what is giving us joy at a worldly level.
Once when Mr. Chakravarti, or one of the trustees, was speaking in front of Swami, he made a mention of this very beautiful incident. Probably the first interview he and his wife got. He came as the collector of Anantapur and Swami called him inside. And apparently in the interview room, there was a very, very beautiful portrait of Swami. A picture, a photograph of Swami. And Swami was looking very, very enchanting and attractive. So all the while through the interview, he was going on looking at that picture. And towards the end of the interview, Swami asked, what do you want? And immediately he said, Swami, can I take that picture? And instantly Swami said, "Why the picture? Take me, I'll come wherever you go." And I think that is the feeling with which every devotee who came in those early years, they came, they loved Swami, they spent the time, but immediately the desire was, "Swami, why don't you come with us?" That's how Swami visited these many places. And similarly, there was this group of devotees from a town called Machilipatnam. Okay, it's still there. I think earlier it used to be called Masulipatnam, but Machilipatnam as it's known today. It's a town in the coast. It's known for its beaches, its beautiful sea. And the beauty of some of these towns is, if you're a student of Swami and Swami is asking, "Hey, where do you come from?" If you mention any of these towns, you should see the glitter in Swami's eye. Immediately Swami will say, "Yeah, I've been there, 1964. I've been there, 1945. Swami would start recollecting names of devotees who hosted him. Swami would say, "There was one person like this." Every place in a city like Madras, every town, every place in a city like Bangalore, Swami would immediately think of devotees. I'm just reminded of a beautiful verse in Sanskrit when they describe the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. They would say that they decide, okay, let's have the marriage. Whom all should we invite? Who should be the cook? Who should be the priest? Who should be playing the instruments? So Lord Shiva says, why don't we call the Saptarishis to officiate for the marriage? Let them be the priests. So the Saptarishis are called, and the Saptarishis say, that devotee who for a moment thinks of the Lord, his life is sanctified. What do we say of that devotee whom the Lord thinks for a moment? How much more sanctified is that devotee's life? That is what when you think, when Swami used to mention these devotees' names, that joy and that glee with which Swami used to refer to those names. And isn't Swami looking so very happy and with his friends? Because all of these were Swami's age. Swami would go out every day, walk into the beach, spend some time. And one day what happened is Swami was with a group of devotees there in the beach, everybody throwing water at each other and singing songs. Unnoticed everybody, Swami just walks into the water. Swami walks right into the sea. And they look around, they realize that Swami is not with them. And suddenly they hear a voice. Swami calls out, "Look here." And they look towards the side from where the voice comes. And there they see that on those waters, Swami gives them the darshan of Lord Vishnu reclining on the serpent. We feel that, yeah, Swami can give that darshan. But imagine Swami sitting next to you like this. Like how Arvind is sitting next to me. And suddenly you see him as Lord Vishnu in front of you. Wouldn't you feel like the rug under your feet has been just pulled away? That's how they would have felt. Suddenly the person who's sitting next to them is there. He's giving the vision of Lord Vishnu. And even before they could take that sight in completely, the next minute Swami is there next to them. And they look at Swami, there is not a drop of that water on Swami's robe. It's dry as dry could be. And this is one incident, and one more day they walk to the beach, they're all playing, and Swami materializes a small silver cup, right? And he takes it and throws it deep into the sea. And Swami says, wait, it'll come back. And the waves bring the silver cup back, and it comes, and Swami picks up that silver cup with the water. When you pick up that cup, water will be there. And then Swami starts distributing the water to all the devotees, and when they drink, it is not that salty sea water, but it is Amritam. Swami gives them that, and Swami says, this is Amritam from heaven. The seas have given it as their offering to me.
Whatever Swami's hand touches becomes sweet. Even the salty sea water becomes sweet. And if we want sweetness in our lives, we just have to be touched by Swami. That is the secret to getting sweetness. It is unfortunate that the photographs are not there of Swami giving darshan in the Adishesha. I don't think anybody would have thought, even if they had a camera, that I have to take a photo now, because it would have been so awe-inspiring. But, Swami, as he said the other time, he would be back with the friends. Swami went to Machilipatnam actually along with Jagannath Rao Naidu's brother, Raghaveshwar Rao Naidu. And again, they were like friends, and they would swim in the sea together. And though not at the sea, there are some photographs of Swami swimming together with others. And at that time, this Raghaveshwar Rao Naidu suffered from a very peculiar eye ailment. It was called diplopia. When you look at somebody and he appears like this, double images. Diplopia. Swami takes jasmine flowers and ties it to the eye. He also actually had a problem with his optic nerve. He had a damaged nerve because of which one eyeball had got paralyzed and stuck. That also got cured along with diplopia getting cured. So this happened at Machilipatnam. The other place Swami used to often visit is Madras. And the beautiful thing is, Swami himself would narrate, he would drive down to Madras. He would zip in a car, start late in the night and early morning he'll be in Madras. And when I look at this picture, I always feel, Swami, if my life is a car, I want you at the wheel, Swami. Because then I know you will always take me quickly to the correct spot, correct destination. So Swami used to visit Madras. And again, when he went to Madras, in the beginning, it was, we mentioned about Navneetam Naidu, the excise commissioner in Bangalore, who gifted Swami the first dog. So it was his son-in-law's home, Raghav Rao Naidu, in Madras. So that was how the branch grew to Madras. He went and stayed at Madras. And at Raghav Rao Naidu's home, a lot of miracles of manifestation of Vibhuti, Lingam. There used to be satsangs, bhajans, all that happening there. And Swami visited many places in Madras also. Kapaleshwarar temple, Parthasarathi temple, Mylapore, Egmore, many places in Madras. This is at Felicite in Madras. Later years, picture taken in Madras. During this time, there was this person, Deenadayal Naidu, and his sister Chandramma. Chandramma had actually had a vision of Shirdi Baba, and he appeared to her in a kind of a pose, And she felt, Swami, if you are the same, I want to have your darshan in the same pose. And that wish of hers was fulfilled. She not only saw Swami in the same pose, when Swami gave that pose, she actually had a vision also. And because of which she was convinced. All this happened at the home of Raghava Rao Naidu, that is Navneetam Naidu's son-in-law. And then Swami calls her and tells you, get your whole family and come tomorrow. She feels it's a tough job again because Swami, nobody will believe. She goes home and she invites everyone. She tells you, come at least see for once, and they all come. Along with her comes her brother-in-law, Alavandar Naidu. And they are all sitting there, and Swami tells her to start singing bhajans. She has never sung in her life, but because Swami has said, she starts singing. At the end of the bhajan, Swami simply apparently randomly picks out Alavandar Naidu. And he tells him, it must have been very difficult, right? For your forefathers and parents and for you also. He says, for what, Swami? To travel all the way from Burma to Madras? And now he is shocked. How does Swami know? And Swami starts revealing every little aspect. Where they faced difficulties, how it was, and how they had to shift from Burma and come and settle down in Madras. By the end of that, they're also floored. They are also singing bhajans and they join in the bhajan. They in fact tell Swami, you must visit our home, you must come to our home. Swami says, not now, next time. And the next year, Swami actually visits their home also. It's a beautiful episode. Because, when Swami is at this person's home and they go there and tell Swami, you must come, Swami says, yes, I will come. And Swami, they all head towards the car. Swami doesn't go to the passenger seat. He asks for the key and goes to the driver's seat. He says, I will take you home. And Swami drives and takes them to their own home. Not only he takes them there, he says, yeah, this is a hotel, no, every Thursday you have food here. This is from where you buy your vegetables. This, whole Jiva Charitra. We read Swami's life history. Swami knows the life history of each and every devotee. He narrates the whole life history. Goes home, again delights them with many materializations. Manifests hot halwa, piping hot. You can't hold it in your hand for two reasons. One is because it's so hot. Second, it is filled with ghee that it will just slide down. And yet, miraculously, Swami holds, though it is hot and filled with ghee, supplies fresh hot halwa to all of them. And that is how Madras, the city of Madras gets conquered by his love. After that, Swami makes many, many more visits. This was the time of the World War II. So there would be a lot of, warning sirens, and daytime it would be tough to go out in the city. And therefore Swami would always drive at night, all by himself, zipping in his car and reaching before the break of dawn to Madras.
So today we will be concluding with Swami's visits during this period. So probably it's would be interesting to conclude with a different kind of a visit. We spoke about this couple, Yadalam Venkataramanappa and his wife. Almost everybody else in Bukkapatnam were against Swami. They resented Swami's presence. But in that town, there was this house of Yadalam Venkataramanappa. But unfortunately, when Swami was busy in his travels, he was going around Madras, Machilipatnam and all these places. Suddenly, this man had an ailment by which his legs got paralyzed. He lost sensation in his legs below his knees. So he became bedridden. And this was a chance for all those naysayers in the town. They would come up to the house and say, "Hey Venkataramanappa, see, this is why. You allowed that Bhattraju into your house, that's why this has happened to you." And everybody would just walk up into his house and start telling him, "See, this is all because of that. We told you, don't go after that Baba. Will he come and cure you now?" And they didn't stop with that. Some of them went to Puttaparthi and they went and told Swami, "Your devotee is lying there. Can't you cure him? Is that all you can do? I mean, he was devoted to you and he's lying there like an invalid. You can't cure him." And to one of those people, Swami said, "I know what to do." And that particular night, the family is retired. It's late into the night. Suddenly there's a knock on the door in Bukkapatnam, in that house. There's a voice calling out, "Narayana, Narayana, Narayana." And the son of Venkataramanappa is Narayanappa. So the daughter-in-law, Janakamma, she gets up and she gets the lantern and she says, "Who is this in the late hours in the night?" And she opens and Swami is standing there all alone. There's nobody with Swami. And there is no bullock cart, nothing. Swami is just there all alone. And Swami says, "I came to see Venkataramanappa." And they lead him to the room where he's lying down. He's immobile, he can't get up. Swami goes to him, Swami puts out his hand and makes him get up and says, "What are you lying down like this, like an invalid, troubling all the people in your house? Get up and walk." And Swami pulls him up and says, "Walk." So then Swami materializes some dates. What is a cure for what? No idea. Swami materialized a banana somewhere, Goa somewhere. For somebody it's jasmine flowers. For Venkatramana's paralysis of his legs, it was dates. Swami materializes dates, puts it in his hand and he says, "Eat." So he's like dazed. He's looking at Swami, he's sitting there. Swami says, "What are you sitting? Eat it." Then Swami grabs the dates and takes one date, removes the seeds, gives it to him. And one by one, Swami gives it to him and makes him eat all of that. And Swami says, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." Stays there that night. And the next morning they arrange a bullock cart for Swami. Swami gets into it and goes back. And with that, never again Venkataramanappa had that problem.
How people started telling Venkataramanappa that you believe in Sai Baba and see this is what he has done to you. And then there were people who were telling Swami, he is your devotee and look, you are not taking care of him. And we saw how Swami took care of him. For a moment, if we just ponder, what if Swami had not walked to Bukkapatnam and cured Venkataramanappa? What would happen then? Would Swami's divinity be gone? See, I feel out of the 6 questions that we can possibly ask, why, when, what, where, who, how, one question is something we just cannot answer. We can answer where, when, who, how, what. Why? Why is beyond our comprehension. Why is beyond the mind. That's why we can't answer. That is why we need faith. Because why is a question we can't answer. Why did Swami do this? Why did Swami do this? Why did Swami leave at 85 when he said he will be till 96? Why is Swami allowing such things to happen? Why is Swami not doing this? Don't know. After it happens, we can look back. Just like now we are looking back and narrating, we can look back and narrate. But that is where we need faith. Swami says, "Come, test me, experience for yourself, then have faith." But after that, like the monkeys who kept pulling out the tree to check whether the root is there, don't do that, because the root will not grow then. Then how will I know that the root is growing? You don't worry, just keep watering. Have faith, the root is growing. It is going deeper and deeper. So whether he cured Venkataramanappa or not, it should not change things. In that case, it was people who were asking Venkataramanappa, "What is your Lord doing to you? What is Swami doing? Why is he not responding?" Many of us are guilty of ourselves doing that to Swami. When we are in times of trouble, we say, "Swami, why? Why, Swami? Why are you doing this?" Let us not ask that question. How much ever I love my pet dog, if my dog comes and asks me, can you teach me this theory? I can't, because, oh dog, you can't understand this, dog. Become a human, then you will understand why I am telling like this, what is this theory. I feel, Swami, God also will be feeling the same. Why? Oh my God, I would love to explain, I love you, I want to tell you. But you won't understand, because it is beyond the mind. You, just like the dog has to become a human to understand this, you have to come to my level to understand. And once you come to my level, there will be no why at all. Dear Swami, the ultimate answer to everything in life is your love. Guide us, guard us, as you have been doing always. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.